Well, for the next feature, we're going to turn to the world of psychology to shed a little light and a little insight into how mindsets, particularly of leaders, can affect the effectiveness of organizations. How leaders can foster a growth mindset is the name of this article, which appeared in Monday's issue of the Quality Digest newsletter. It was written by consultant, speaker, and leadership coach Elena Love, and it first ran on the Smart Brief blog late last month. Now, Love's article jumps off from the work of Stanford University professor and researcher Carol Dweck. Many of you may know Dweck, you may have heard of Carol Dweck, and maybe you haven't. But from Dweck comes this idea that most people have either a fixed or a growth mindset. Those with fixed mindsets tend to believe that one's achievements come from their inherent qualities, like intelligence and inherent abilities. On the other hand, people with a growth mindset see the key to success as persistence and adaptability. So it's not so much where you start, it's where you end up. Kind of a very different perspective. The way that this manifests itself for organizational leaders isn't really very hard to see. Executives with fixed mindsets may tend to hire and promote people who are pretty much like themselves, who have certain inherent attributes and attitudes, but may shrink from experimentation out of a fear of failure. That's really a key thing of the fixed mindset, is failure is really set up as a big fear, and that you don't want to risk failure, so you don't take risks to succeed either. Eventually, and usually it doesn't take very long, that is going to lead to what you could call a stultifying culture in the organization in which no one takes any risks, and that's not a good thing. To encourage a growth mindset in yourself and in your company, Love in her piece suggests 4 behaviors, and I want to run through these fairly quickly. The first is to place a high value on learning. That means investing in yourself and your organizational knowledge base, even when times are tough. I mean, it's easy when financially things aren't going very well to cut off training and access to knowledge. But that, if you don't do that, you're going to fail to promote intellectual curiosity, and that's going to yield innovation. So if you don't do that, you run the risk of not doing those things. The second one is to admit when failures occur and capitalize on them. I mean, a hallmark, again, of the growth mindset is an ability to see failure as just a speed bump on the road to ultimate success. And you can support that perspective in your own organization by rewarding team effort as opposed to specific outcomes. Dweck talks about this within the framework of raising children. Not that, you know, managing a team and raising children are the same, but she talks about it from the perspective of, as a parent with a young child, you can either have a choice of someone, if your child does something well, you can say, well, you're so smart, it's so great you did that, you're so smart. Or you can say, that's so great you did that, you worked really hard to achieve that. They're different values that you're imparting there. So, you know, kind of, you know, giving people some props for the effort as opposed to just the outcome is really important. The third one of these is develop as many people as you can. I mean, instead of giving opportunities repeatedly just to a few of the rising stars, growth mindset leaders and organizations let everyone have a crack at finding solutions. I mean, you never know where that next great idea is going to come from, so it's really important you spread that love around. And fourth and finally is stay open to feedback. Growth mindset leaders got that way because they listened and they acted appropriately to advice to improve. I mean, plus when you listen, when you really listen, don't just pretend to listen, but when you really listen to feedback from your team, you're building trust and you're showing them that you're going to walk your talk. You're not just going to say, well, we're a growth mindset organization, we're going to be open to ideas. But if you're closed off to ideas and closed off to being challenged, you probably have somewhat of a fixed mindset yourself. It's very hard to encourage a growth mindset attitude in an organization when you as a leader are a fixed mindset person, so be aware of that. And again, paying attention to those psychological cues and clues are really important factors. They're important factors for success, again, for yourself and for the organization. So you want to challenge yourself. And if you're falling into those fixed mindset behaviors, be aware of it and see if you can maybe do some things to help change your perspective.